3. Testing.
Hello.
1, 2, 3.
Grogu, you got anything to say to us? Okay. Hey friends, family, followers, and subscribers. It's your fellow man of letters and favorite Winchester brother, Bradford Cheeble here, doing a little bit of a change up today. We're in a new location. We're in Atlanta, Georgia, at my friend Mark's house. He is the second guest to the channel, and tonight we are doing a Book of Boba Fett review.
Yes, we are.
/ interview on our more well-baked thoughts on the show. So, Mark, let me ask you this. What was your favorite meme / joke from the show?
Is the one that I waited 2 weeks to send you because you weren't caught up yet?
I mean, I'm sorry. I was busy.
2 words, Mos Vespa.
Yeah. And it took me about 2 hours to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, all you really need to see are the mods. Yeah.
Yeah, clever concept. I think it could have been executed better, and that's just a really bland, generic criticism of whatever that was. The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
The one who looks like he's wearing a white Oxford shirt with a black tie and a sweater vest over it.
So he looks like
white boy. I hate him. I don't know why I hate him.
Also, can we talk about Sophie Thatcher's faux British accent?
Let's not.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. This review will, unfortunately, for those who haven't seen the show, contain spoilers.
What a surprise.
Yeah, shocking. If you know me, I love spoilers, but not when they're ruining a story. So if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, we both recommend for you, turn around now and don't get caught in a racing match with somebody in a Mandalorian armor. So, that being said, we're going to advance with this review. If you have questions, drop them in the comments down below as to why I'm wearing a Georgia shirt, go Dogs, and Mark is wearing an interesting shade of yellow.
What's the good word?
Go Dogs. National champions.
Good job.
Thanks. It's a big accomplishment. Only 40 years in the drought, 40 years in the desert, just like the Israelites. So, All right, so that being said, we're diving in. Again, you've been warned, so turn back now if you don't want it spoiled. And we're off.
We are.
Okay. Mark, what were some of your initial thoughts on the story? I guess let's start there with the story.
Start with the story. Let's go chronologically. Episode 1. I had no idea where this was going because it was just all flashback. Didn't seem to really be advancing given a specific plot in the current time frame. It was interesting. I think episode 2 developed that better, kind of sold me on the idea of, Boba Fett got integrated into this Tusken clan, and
absolutely,
in addition to whatever trauma he experienced in the Sarlacc pit, that starts to reorient his values a bit. Episode 3 was lackluster and just kind of goofy between the mods, Mos Vespa. Was episode 3 the
like a banta
episode, or was that episode 2?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was episode 3.
Okay.
Episode 3 was the one where I was like, okay.
No. It was 2 because that's when they raid the train. He's still in his prisoner costume.
Well, also, which was the episode when the Rancor came back? Was that episode 3?
3 is when the new baby Rancor is brought in by Danny Trejo.
Okay, got it. And also, can we talk about the Hutts for a second?
Who were just twins? There to introduce Black Xanthan and then Dip.
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett did in episodes 5 and 6. Spoiler.
And also how they looked like they were conjoined at the hip for every scene that they were in.
That was not something I thought about, and it's something I wish I hadn't thought about. Thanks, Brad.
My pleasure, Mark. Thank you for your business. Unfortunately, if you've seen Game of Thrones and you were like me, you were thinking some
Game of Thronesy thoughts.
Inappropriate adult content. I muted it. Sorry. Anyways.
That's a good cut.
Well, we love bloopers. As does Grogu.
God, that thing there's a story behind that thing. I'm not going to get into it here.
Well, we are telling a story, aren't we?
College-age housemates at nerd school.
Noted. Hence the wall behind us.
Yeah.
We love nerds. We love nerds for here on the channel. We're big nerds fans. Not the
They're
candy.
delicious. Continue.
My initial thoughts on the story were I felt like it was underbaked. I also felt like I was asking myself the question, why do we need this show? Why couldn't we have just gotten like a Boba Fett centered episode on The Mandalorian Season 2 or The Mandalorian Season 3 upcoming? The episodes, if we're being completely honest here, the episodes with Din Djarin, The Mandalorian, were the strongest episodes of this season. But
no love for Pelimoto, our favorite.
Oh yeah, Pelimoto. We
comic
we
relief mechanic.
Pelimoto. I'm looking at you, Pelimoto. You're a good mechanic. Fix up my car, make sure my transmission doesn't go out anytime soon, please. Okay, cool. Good talk. We got some good moments with Boba. I think his episodes with the Tuskens and having his flashbacks to seeing him on Camino and wishing to have a relationship with his father and wishing to have like a family and wishing to have respect for people around him. I think that was really cool.
That doesn't go anywhere, by the way. Plot thread dropped.
What he said. But unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere. And when the whole theme of I want to rule with respect, I wish that had gotten fleshed out a little bit more.
I'll jump in on that.
Yeah, totally.
We were talking earlier, and I've been talking with some of my housemates, one of whom you might be able to hear in the background. I'm sorry.
It is also 1:12 in the morning.
It is 1:12 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking with some of my housemates. I was talking with Brad earlier, saying that in episode 4, when Boba Fett is talking with Fennec Shand after releasing his Bantha to the wilderness, when he's talking with her about, hey, the bounty hunters have been exploited by the crime families just to settle their beef, and that results in a lot of dead bounty hunters and not very much settled beef. And when he's like, hey, I am tired of being exploited, I'm tired of our kind being exploited and killed because these organizations can't like behave civilly with one another.
Yeah.
And I want to change that, so that's why I'm taking over Jabba's organization.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have leaned into that for the whole series, and it would have been better. Like, that was the sort of conversation they needed to have at the beginning of the series. Like,
I agree.
He's sitting on Jabba's throne, or Bib Fortuna's throne, because Jabba didn't really have a throne.
Oh, that sucker Bib Fortuna.
But sitting on the throne, and Fennec Shand, or one of the, maybe even the Major Domo who comes in from there, is like, hey, what the heck is a bounty hunter doing taking over a crime lord house? Aren't you supposed to work for the crime lords? And he just straight up says, not anymore. Yeah. We're doing this a new way.
We're doing it my way. Swipe right, please.
Yeah.
What did you think of some of the characters, other than our lead two, Fennec Shand and Boba Fett?
Is it too harsh to say what other characters? I mean, Din Djarin, obviously, Grogu, Pelimoto, we've had that conversation just a minute ago.
Can we talk about how much better Luke looked in this show?
Didn't they hire the guy who did
They hired the deepfake YouTuber.
Yeah.
Which They did a really, really good job of recreating his face.
His voice was a little off, but
yeah,
it's good.
But did you hear about how they used his voice?
No, I didn't.
They took actual samples of Mark Hamill speaking, and they fed it into this, I don't remember exactly what it was called, this piece of technology where it recognized Mark Hamill's, the pitch and volume and intensity of his voice, and recreated the sounds of that for whatever they wanted the dialogue to be, and whoever was playing him could mouth that, and they basically just recreated his voice based on past samples, which had never been done before, and that was amazing because it sounded great.
Kind of want to stall for time, but I want to advance the conversation. We good?
We're good. You didn't have to do that, but I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Mark Hamill was still credited, so I'm not sure if that's just for the voice print that they were using, or if he was actually recording new lines that his sampled voice was layered over, stitched onto. I know Black Chrysanthemum comes up in the new Marvel Star Wars comics. That's where that was his introduction.
Okay.
I think that was in the Darth Vader series with Doc Aphra, and then I don't remember the droids' names, but it's essentially just like black painted R2-D2 and C-3PO, and oh yeah, by the way, they're serial killers. Like, that was their personality.
That was beautiful. I think we're missing a very obvious character. Couple of very obvious characters.
Oh, the Gamorreans?
Oh, we don't care about the Gamorreans. They fell off a freaking cliff.
Cad Bane.
Yeah. Cad Bane shows up and says, "Yeah, we framed the Tuscans. We framed the biker gang to make it look like they killed the Tuscans."
I mean, was Cad Bane even involved at that point? I think he just straight up said, yeah, it was the Pikes.
I thought he framed it on the biker gang.
Yeah, the Pikes framed the biker gang.
That's right.
Before Cad Bane was involved.
Okay. I was getting my details mixed up. That's what I was going for.
And Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth got a cameo.
Cobb Vanth did get it. Well, he got a little bit more than a cameo.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. He got a
couple scenes.
He got a couple scenes, and one that almost kind of felt like a ripoff of the most recent Dune adaptation. But, that's fine. The episode From the Desert Comes a Stranger, seeing the visuals with the reintroduction, or should I say the live-action introduction of Cad Bane to the Star Wars universe, was nothing short of iconic.
Yeah, I was watching the episode with one of my housemates. Somehow had avoided getting spoiled on it. We're watching, and it cuts to a figure out, like, in the shimmering mirage of the desert, and you see the wide brim hat. And
man.
That's Cad Bane. Hey, Andrew, you haven't watched the episode. Get out of the room.
Get out of the room.
You haven't caught up. Go, leave, shoot.
What'd you think about the filed teeth? That was kind of creepy.
I feel like he had pretty gnarly teeth in Clone Wars, too.
I could have sworn he looked like he had seen a dentist in Clone Wars, but I could be wrong. I don't know. It was almost immediate as soon as you see that silhouette walking through the desert toward the camera. It looked like Cad Bane.
Who else in Star Wars wears a wide-brimmed hat?
Oh, you do have... I mean, I was going to say Han Solo, but then I was mixing Han Solo up with Indiana Jones because they're kind of the same person. Just...
Harrison Ford always plays himself. Isn't that the joke?
I mean, you're not incorrect. And also, there are such things as variants. So...
Let's not bring in Marvel, please. I don't have the patience for that tonight.
Variants are great. We love variants. What biggest implications for the Star Wars universe do you think this story had? I mean, we know where mostly it takes place. It takes place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens in the same timeline as The Mandalorian. But there seemed to be some bigger hints at what would happen with Luke's Jedi Academy.
Yeah, I will say... Yeah, the bigger implications for the Star Wars story. Sadly, none of them have to deal with Boba Fett. He's just stuck on Tatooine now, and he realizes he doesn't want to rule at the end of Episode 7. But bigger effects.
He's kind of screwed at that point, honestly.
I don't know if we'll go into it later, but
yeah,
Grogu returning to Mandalorian as opposed to going on with Luke. Kind of predictable. I'm a little bit bummed that they went with Luke taking a more, I guess, traditionalist Jedi's approach as opposed to the old Legends Luke Skywalker approach of, you know what? Not having emotional attachments is stupid and typically makes things worse.
Mm-hmm.
Or like having to like actively shun attachments.
Yeah.
As opposed to if they formed, it's natural.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were some interesting points in that episode when he didn't, where if you go back to Luke's arc in the original trilogy, there were some moments where he realizes his attachment to his father saves his father.
Yep, it does.
And it's kind of confusing in From the Desert Comes a Stranger when he's asking Grogu forsake all of his attachments, but also I think that's what helped lead him down the path that led him to where we see him in The Last Jedi, which I don't care how many juicy comments I get from this next opinion. The Last Jedi is a fantastic movie. Deal with it. Also, I think it's safe to say that if Grogu had stayed, which he still might go back to the temple. What?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like having him just
also Thrawn books. I just noticed
back and forth. Yeah, the new Thrawn trilogy actually pretty good. There's the Legends Thrawn trilogy, which are very good, and then there's
updated
two
Disney
new Thrawn trilogies.
Okay.
It's not even so much like an update. It's prequels to like how Thrawn was introduced to the universe. Sidetrack. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of redundant, kind of silly for them to have Grogu bouncing between Luke Skywalker and Mando, like, also I don't know, a kid caught in a custody battle.
Look. He jumped. It's so good to see him.
Like, if they have him bouncing between Luke and Din Djarin, like he's a kid caught in a really ugly custody battle, I don't...
Interesting way to put
I just feel like that would be a waste of time. Like, I'm already a little bit concerned that...
Yeah.
Okay, why did Grogu go with Luke if he's just going to end up right back to status quo, hanging out with Mando at the start of season 3 of Mandalorian? Like, what was the point of that huge reveal of Luke Skywalker taking him in?
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It felt like Grogu going to Luke's academy and then all of a sudden just up and leaving undercut the Mandalorian season 2 finale. Because if the whole point was Din Djarin bringing Grogu to his people, not necessarily people of his own race, but Jedi, Force users, then why all of a sudden was that just cut so short and he immediately goes back to Din? And this season, what was that? Looks like I had a little bit of spicy takes. I found that somewhat confusing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Grogu and Din tearing up the galaxy any day of the week, but I have a feeling Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau want to expand more of what the universe looks like in between these big entries to the Star Wars franchise, such as Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And I think we'll see a little bit more of that in the Ahsoka series, hopefully coming out later this year.
Yeah, Ahsoka,
Rangers of the Old
Obi-Wan.
Republic.
I know it got canceled. It got canceled-ish, maybe. I think it was officially canceled. They might be trying to bring it back. I don't know. Obviously, there's Visions. There's The Apprentice at some point.
Hopefully, it doesn't feature Donald Trump.
No. Is it The Apprentice or is it The Acolyte? I think it might be The Acolyte, actually. But it's the like kind of Sith-flavored one that showed up. Who knows where that's going to go?
I would watch that in a freaking heartbeat.
Should we circle back around to Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, let's do that.
It's over. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It had a lot of good moments.
Mark gets blunt when he's tired.
I got up at 6:50 this morning for a transportation engineering lab. I'm having a great time.
I got up at 5:55 this morning.
Okay, you went fine.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Carry on.
Carrying. Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we weren't treated to more scenes of Boba Fett being BA, and I do think episode 7 actually did, for its writing deficiencies, it did treat us to a lot of really good action sequences.
See the mods. In most Vespa.
Most Vespa. And then the Freetown farmers rolling up in their pickup truck with a 50 cal on the top.
Yeah, that part I don't remember.
They're better than the mods still. The Breakfast Club.
Okay. Well, wow, that is yeah, they definitely are the Breakfast Club.
Been saying that since I saw them on the screen the first time.
Also, Sophie Thatcher's accent, like Mark said.
I barely remember she spoke.
I was like, that kind of looks like the girl from Netflix's Lock and Key, but I could be wrong. But also, it could have been.
Sadly, you weren't, apparently.
Yikes. Can we talk about how British people doing American accents are a lot better at it than American people doing British accents?
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? I think I saw an interview with Tom Holland recently where he admitted that he starts falling into an American accent when he's in public. Just by default now.
I don't find that as a flaw in his character.
No, I'm just saying it's funny and like a little bit sad.
Yeah, slightly sad. If you're a big Star Wars fan, I wouldn't say it's necessarily required viewing, but it is important if you want to see. In my opinion, this is what I've read, this is what I've listened to, this is what I think is helping to inform some of the conversation on the sequel trilogy, which, after it's panned out, has not been as well received. I think it's going to inform some of the story choices that were made in the sequel trilogy, which would be really interesting to see if it actually is well told. And this is just speculation for the upcoming Ahsoka series. This is speculation for Mandalorian Season 3, The Acolyte, like Mark was saying, maybe some Rangers of the New Republic. We don't know. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are trying to MCU Star Wars, which is an interesting take, and they might be doing a better job of it right now than Marvel is doing of their own TV shows. I said in my instant reaction video that I gave this season a 6.6 out of 10. Yes, the GIF is coming up shortly. Order 66. It slipped to about a 5.9 for me out of 10. What about you?
I think it depends on like where in the season you are.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Episodes 1 through 3, 5 to a 6. Episodes 4 through 6, you're riding a high. That's like an 8 and 9. That's
totally agree.
Almost, if not as good as.
Totally agree.
I would say almost as good as some of the best moments in Mandalorian season 1 and 2. Episode 7 brings you back to Earth, grounds you a little bit, and kind of highlights the weaknesses in
Definitely
the story of
Gamorreans.
Oh God. They had a better arc than the mods, admit it. Yeah, probably episode 7 just kind of reinforced some of the deficiencies and weaknesses in the story from earlier.
Absolutely.
Overall, I think kind of staying in that 5 to 6 range with that very large like peak to plateau in the middle that then dropped off. And episode 7 was just a weak finale, and then it ended with them singing the words Boba Fett over and over. You know what? Ludwig Göransson is a masterful composer. If that's what he wanted to do, I'm not going to question it. But I have a housemate who's obsessed with bubble tea, and I've heard the word boba in too many different contexts.
Agreed.
To think that it is a badass name. That is great. Boba Fett, great. Boba, no.
I'm with you there. I felt like, just as a general recap, the show could have used a little bit more. It could have used, I think, another episode or two to maybe round out Boba's motivations a little bit more. round out his backstory a little bit more, help it just make sense why he was taking Jabba's throne in the first place, which I think they were starting to go there, but they got sidetracked with, and this is not a criticism by any means, they got sidetracked with Din Djarin's story again. They got sidetracked with Grogu and Luke's story again, with Ahsoka's story again. Not a criticism, but that did take away from what the purpose of the show was all about in the first place. And if that had been interspersed over the 7 episodes and not just jammed into 2 episodes where the focus was not on Boba, who the series is literally about, it could have been a little better. We could have seen some of the inner workings behind the crime syndicates and why the Pikes were truly on Tatooine, because that motivation by itself is kind of confounding.
Yeah. Obviously it just gets back to, there's riches to be had. Hot take, I will say...
I love spicy takes.
Cut 90% of the content of episode 6. So all of the Luke and Grogu stuff. Cut Grogu from the show entirely. Cut Luke from the show entirely. You could have episode 1 through 5 run up exactly as they were up until Finnick comes to talk with Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as she starts to recruit him, have one of the walls of Pelimoto's garage explode and an army of Pikes start marching in. Maybe led by Cad Bane. Maybe that's when you introduce him. That way you start to build up his role as a villain in the series.
Totally.
Alternatively, have episode 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger, as
great.
Awesome as it was to have that episode at the end to realize that's the stranger. Episode. Start that episode with Cad Bane walking out of the desert.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I had pretty much zero attachment to the Pikes as a villain.
Yeah. They
were just there. And also, in the wake of Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1 adaptation...
The spice must flow.
The spice must flow. I was a little like, okay, Dune was a hit. We didn't really need to get a knockoff of a scene from it in episode 6. I'm not sorry about saying that. But alas, the spice must flow. Anything you have else to say? Or you?
Not particularly. Going to the end credits scene just for a second. I genuinely thought like a 50-50 shot that it was Cad Bane in the tank. It wasn't. I'm okay with that. I mean, I saw comments online saying, yeah, it would have been a bummer to lose Cobb Vanth that quickly, just because apparently in some of the new novels he's a cool character. He's been a pretty good character in Mando and Book of Boba Fett.
Mandalorian season 2.5.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the Lion King 1.5.
Yeah. I would say that.
Figured it was a 50-50 shot. It was Cobb Vanth. I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if Cad Bane returns.
Oh, God, I hope he does. Lord Jesus, please let him return.
It does seem like they have it set up for it to at least be within the realm of possibilities without pulling a somehow Palpatine has returned. I sidetrack. I remember seeing that line right before I went to see Rise of Skywalker, and I almost gave up on going to see Rise of Skywalker because of that. Like an hour before I was about ready to cancel my ticket.
That is hilarious. That
was a long day.
All right. So those are our reviewed and interviewed reviewed thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett. We still highly recommend to go watch the series.
Because you'll be real confused going into Mando Season 3 if you don't.
Yes. All right. I'm going to head back to the bunker now. Mark's probably going to go to bed. I will also be heading to bed. We've had very long days. That's just what it's like. So, thanks for tuning in. Peace out, viewers. And may the Force hopefully be with the microphone that Grogu is about to eat.
Driver picks the music.
Shotgun shuts.